What is going on, you guys? So right behind me is a Lotus Evora GT, and I'm so excited because I've never driven a Lotus on the channel. I've never driven a Lotus in my life. So you guys are gonna see my very first impressions with a Lotus vehicle, and I've always liked them because of their philosophy. They build driver's cars, and despite them being on a decline in terms of sales, not having the most cars sold, they still stay true to what they have always done, and I respect that greatly. So we're going to go over every detail about this car, exterior, interior, take it for a drive through some canyons, and ultimately we're going to see if this is truly the ultimate driver's car. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check out the Lotus Evora GT. Now, like I said, my first time filming a Lotus, and I love the way this thing looks. I've always loved the way the Evora looks, and the Evora GT is no exception. Now, finished off in this Exige orange, this is about a $6,000 paint coat. I personally think that if you have to have orange, this is obviously the way to go, but if not, so save yourself that $6 grand, and then you can get this for under $100,000. So as is, this is about $105,000. That's a lot of money for this kind of a car. Now, when most people think of Lotus, they think of kind of an outdated brand, a brand that doesn't have anything new to bring to the table, and so $100,000 is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. However, this is really going to get you a car that is special and more unique than anything else you can get on the market, and we'll dive more into that once we take it for a drive. Now let's go ahead and talk about the things that make this car pretty cool, at least in my opinion. I love the front of it. So there's no storage space or anything under the front. This is all just going to be purpose built for aero. So this thing has such an aggressive front end. It looks really good with all the black accents, large openings, that way you're flowing air through radiators, you're flowing air up the hood of the car, and you guys can actually see where the air flows up the front and then into the top vents that are going to flow basically over the hood, down that middle area, and then into the rear area, which is going to double as sort of like a deck lid spoiler and then a traditional spoiler where the air is going to go underneath that. So very cool. And then obviously flowing air into these intakes on both sides, but it's a very good looking vehicle. And then you are going to have LED lights on this car, so the lights look great, the car looks good at night, and you know, it gives it a nice look. Now, as you come around to the side, you're going to have these black wheels, which look pretty cool. I love the way that they look. It's going to have your Lotus emblem there in the middle. You do have your ventilated brakes on here with your AP Racing signature, because these are AP Racing brakes, and these are wrapped in Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires. These are some sticky tires, and you have 19-inch wheels up at the front, 20-inch wheels in the back, so you guys can see the rear wheels really fill up that wheel well, and I think it looks quite good. Now, one cool thing I like is it says Evora GT here off to the side with a nice little sticker, and then you have this indent which allows you to see, I guess, like a little bit more of the tire here, which I kind of like. That it looks pretty neat. And I also love this fender vent right there. If I didn't already mention, that looks really cool. Now, as you move back to the side profile, here's where it looks really sporty in my opinion. You have like almost this Ferrari-esque style kick up right there in the back. The front is nice and low, and then the middle just has a good proportion to it. I just don't like this little black decal there. Not really sure what that's there for. It's kind of an eyesore in my opinion, but comment below, let me know what you guys think about it. And then as we move to the back, here is my favorite angle, because you have so much going on here. So you can see more of that spoiler here. It's gonna say Lotus right back here, but it's only going to be stickers, so you guys can see that. Evora GT sticker there. Third brake light, and then your tail lights look great at night. I mean, signature Lotus, so I love that. And then as you come down, you've got this massive open area to basically let out any extra turbulence going to build up in the wheel well, and you have carbon fiber on the inside of that, which is very nice as well, and you can really see how wide these tires are. You got this crazy diffuser going on back here with your center mounted exhaust, which we will go ahead and fire up and take a listen to. All right, you guys, so here's your key for your Lotus Evora. This key is so interesting. So let's start with this. This is going to be how you lock the car. So I hit the Lotus emblem. It's gonna lock it, mirror's gonna fold in, and then if I hit it again, it'll lock the car with a beep, but it's the most Walmart checkout beep I've ever heard. Listen to this. How funny. Now to unlock it, you guys probably don't see any other buttons. However, this right there is a button. I hit that in the middle, that'll unlock. And then you actually have another button right here. And if I push that, that is actually to open this rear hatch. So I hit it twice, and there we go. That's gonna open the back. So let's go ahead and check out the rest of the car. All right, guys, so sitting inside of the Evora GT, I've got a good amount of room being 6 feet tall. So I've got a good amount of space above my large hair. And I'd say if you're about a maximum of, let's say, 6'4", maybe 6'5", you could probably make it work sitting in here, because the seat still scoots back pretty far. This is all the way back, and I've got just a ton of leg room. And then I can also still twist this dial over here, and then that'll fold the seat backwards. So I can still have a good amount of room in here to stretch out and do things like that if I were a little bit taller. The seats are very comfortable. They hug you in place pretty well. And then the steering wheel is very nice. So you've got these nice areas right behind the wheel where I can grip. 9 and 3 is really good on here. Cruise control, all right here. It's the only buttons you have on there. Lotus symbol, nice leather here with some stitching. Alcantara, red accent there. That way you always know where center is. Let's say if you're on the track or even driving aggressively. Obviously things like your wipers, your blinkers. And then as you come up on the dash, you're going to have some nice leather adorning basically the entire back part. Some nice carbon fiber right there. And then you're going to have some Alcantara here with your buttons here. So you have heated seats for both driver and passenger. You're gonna have your sports mode, race mode, hazards, door locks, and then exhaust. Now, these 3 buttons are very confusing. So right now, we're in a normal drive mode. So if I rev it, that's what it sounds like. And if I hit that, my exhaust gets louder. Okay, so here's where it gets weird. When I turn on sport, it's the opposite. So because I'm in sport mode, my exhaust is already loud. When I hit this button, it actually quiets it up. So very interesting. So it's very weird. And it actually took me until right before filming this part to figure that out, because it was confusing the living daylights out of me. Now, as we come here, we have this tiny little aftermarket looking Alpine setup. Surprisingly, it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which just blew me away. And then your backup camera is in here, which is the lowest res backup camera I've ever seen. This should actually get an award for being the lowest res backup camera in the entire automotive industry. It's that bad. I'm so sorry, Lotus, but man, that is horrible. And then as you move down, you're going to have some nice perforated leather with some Alcantara, red and silver stitching. I think that looks really cool. Different zones, your defrost right here, your cold, and then your hot setting over here to the right, AC, recycling, and then your fan speed right there. Very nice knobs, they actually feel pretty good. And then you have this awesome shifter. I mean, this makes the current generation Type R shifter feel like Fisher Price. This thing feels like Thor's hammer under your right hand or left hand, depending on where you live. And it's just such a solid feel. I mean, listen to this. Like, this thing is so heavy duty, and it's awesome to use. You guys will see that later when I take it for a drive. And then as we come back, you have your e-brake, which is equally as solid. Very solid feel to it. As you come back, you could just have this like Alcantara wall right here, a 12 volt, a little bit of storage area, and then you have a drink holder there where I have my Red Bull. And then if you guys can see back here, you have a little bit of a back seat. It's basically just a shelf or for like legless passengers. There's really not fitting anyone back here at all. It's just to throw things on. That's what I'm using it for, at least. And then right back there, if you guys can see through that window, if I rev the car, watch this. How awesome is that? To see that in your rearview camera is the coolest thing ever, and I absolutely love it. Now, last thing to talk about is going to be this gauge cluster here. So very simplistic. You have your tach over to the left, speedometer to the right, things like your PSI, fuel, and then over here you just have things like time and temp miles on the car. Very simplistic setup on this vehicle, and if you like something that feels very analog, this is the way to go. So that's pretty much gonna wrap up the inside, guys. Let's go ahead and check out the rest of the car. All right, guys, coming to the back of the Lotus Evora GT. Now, here is where your engine is gonna sit mid-mounted right behind your head. This is a Toyota Camry engine, essentially. So this is a 3.5 liter Toyota V6, and this is gonna have this huge supercharger bolted on top of it, and it's gonna make 416 horsepower. And then if you go for the 6-speed automatic, this one is obviously the 6-speed manual, that is going to give you a bump in torque. So you're gonna make about 332 pound-feet of torque, and that's really the only difference between the two. So the manual gives you better engagement, the automatic is gonna give you slightly more torque. So depends on which one you want. I personally know which one I would go with. And then obviously you have a little bit of storage space right behind here. So there's like a bag that can fit back here. Lotus throws in this battery charger, which is kind of random, but it's a decent amount of space, and you guys can actually see the cubic feet here on the screen. And it's a really nice engine bay. I love looking at this red Lotus engine cover. It's just very, very cool. But let's go ahead, get this on the road and see how it does. All right, you guys, so driving the Lotus Evora GT down Ortega Highway. I've wanted to take a Lotus down this highway ever since I moved out here, so thank you guys for supporting the channel. Seriously, one of my dream cars. I've always wanted to drive a Lotus. And now I get to give you my impressions on how it drives when you're pushing it a little bit. So we're going downhill. It's a good chance for me to test the brakes. Throw those headphones on if you got them. We're in sport mode. I'm not gonna put it in race just because it turns off traction. I'm not that confident yet, but here we go. The acceleration is good. We're gonna test out those Cup 2 tires, and I mean, they grip. Listen to that engine just sing. Gosh. And the brakes on here are absolutely insane. These AP Racing brakes are very, very good. They bring this car to a stop very quickly. Now, remember, for a Lotus, this is actually pretty heavy. It's about 3,200 pounds roundabout, which once again for a Lotus is very heavy. So you do slightly feel that weight, but I mean, it still feels extremely nimble. The steering could be a little bit tighter. It could have a little bit more feedback, but it's good. Sweet mama, this thing goes. Oh my goodness. And this shifter is magic. The transitions are awesome. Look at this. Hard left, lean on the tires. Oh my gosh, this sounds so good. Oh my word. This thing books. Oh man, oh man. Listen to that howl. Oh my gosh. Transitions are very, very good. So hard right here. Once again, leaning on those Cup 2 tires. These things are basically track slicks. They have so much grip. My goodness. And I mean, I'm not even touching the brakes right now just because there's so much grip to be found in these tires. It's pretty crazy, if I'm being honest. This is such a driver's car. I look in my rearview mirror, I see that throttle body moving around, I hear that induction howl, and then the shifter just makes you feel like you are an absolute race car driver. Man, and the grip, guys, is so good. I mean, goodness gracious. Now here's one part that's pretty cool. So when you're in a corner, let's say if I give it some acceleration now, if I just simply let off the accelerator, look how much that drags me in. Gosh, and this thing really flies, guys. Oh my goodness, it's so very good. even with those crazy, what is this guy doing? even with those crazy areas where the car just compresses and bounces, it still keeps its grip and composure on the road. It doesn't upset the car at all. And having those fender peaks are great. You always know where the wheels are. You always know where the car is placed. Once again, I wish it had just a little bit more, I guess, resistance through the wheel. It's very precise, but I just want a little bit more feedback, which is a surprising thing to say behind the wheel of a Lotus. Everything else, however, is incredible. The clutch is awesome. This shifter makes the current Honda Type R shifter feel like it's made of plastic. And that supercharger whine. Gosh, come on. How can you not want one of these? Jeez. Oh my gosh. If I had the money, I would so get these guys. It's such a shame that Lotus isn't doing that well in the United States. I mean, this is one of the best driving cars I've driven in a very long time. Man. And when you think of a $100,000 car experience, this lives up to it. I don't care that someone else can have a Cayman or a 911 that blows this thing out of the water in terms of 0 to 60, maybe even track times. I just get behind the wheel of this thing. I enjoy this noise. I enjoy shifting through this incredible shifter. I enjoy the pedal placement. I enjoy the push that this has. I enjoy the little quirks about this car, and I also enjoy having something that not everyone else has. And when I'm paying $100,000, I do not want something that everyone has. I mean, that's a lot of money, and I want something unique. This gives you that in spades. It's awesome, and it's one of the purest driving cars I've driven in a long time. And you have a Camry engine. Like, come on, that thing's going to be reliable, and I'm just very impressed. And this is the Evora. This isn't really the most track-focused vehicle in Lotus's lineup, and it has lived up to everything I expected a Lotus to drive like. It's very, very good. Well, everyone, that's going to wrap up my review on the Lotus Evora GT. I think this thing is amazing. It is very expensive at $100,000, and let's be honest, Lotus isn't known to hold their value very well. So maybe after 1 or 2 years, this could be worth anywhere from 60 to 70 grand, which is a pretty big hit. I mean, but it's really hard because this is such a good car, and they don't make cars like these anymore. They really don't. And when you're paying $100,000, you really want something special, unique, and unlike anything else on the road. And this is the best way to do it, especially if you love to roll your own gears, you love to have something that's super engaging. This offers it in spades. I highly suggest test driving one if you guys are even mildly considering a Lotus, because it is one of the best vehicles I've driven this year. No jokes at all. So let me know what you guys think. Comment below. If you're new to the channel, I'd love to have you guys subscribe, hit the notification box, hit the bell so you guys never miss an upload, and we'll see you in the next video.